Anthony, good morning, my friend. It is so nice to see you.
Great seeing you, Tom. Thanks for having me. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm the only guy in the world that calls you the Chief. I don't know where we came up with that back when you and I were doing Fox games
Hey,
together, but of course, I had another nickname, if I remember, that you gave me.
let, let me just share briefly, if I can, where that chief came from to refresh your memory. So I saw your message and I said, Deed, my wife Deed, I said, here's my nickname, and I explained to her. So if you remember, I retired from the Bengals and signed with Tampa Bay. I went down there, and my locker was between Lamar Thomas and Horace Copeland, two rookie off or wide receivers. So the first day of camp, they come in they're 20, 21 years old. I'm 35. They look at me and they say, "You're the chief, and we're the Indians. You're the head man." And if you remember, our first game, I believe we did together was in Tampa.
Yeah,
And they came up to me and they said, "Chief, how you doing, Chief?" And that's for that nick. And I think you've kept it going. You've
I
kept
have.
it going. And
I mean, I'm the only guy in your life that calls you that. Dee Dee's not calling you that. Maybe Copeland and those guys, Thomas, are still calling you Chief if you ever run into them anymore.
you're the
I don't
only
know.
guy, man. I appreciate it. Now,
And you
I do
you even
remember.
you even wrote back in your text yesterday. Hey Tom, can we do it tomorrow? I got something going on with the foundation today. The Chief.
That's
I was
right.
fired up.
That's great. Hey, it's either Moon because that's my West Coast name, Moon, or Chief. Other than that, it's Anthony.
Do you think that the moon thing, since that's your West Coast name, is that kind of a West Coast thing, where they got all the crystals and all that kind of stuff going on, so they call you Moon? Is that where that is?
No, let me share a quick story, and this is funny because you remember Frank Pastore.
Of course.
So Frank was the stud, man. We grew up in the same area. He was a year older than me. Tom, you remember baseball was my first love. Man, Frank was the talk of the town because he was, the Reds drafted him. But my junior year, his senior year, we used to have an Easter tournament, 32 teams in this week-long tournament, 32 of the best teams in Southern California there. And I'll never forget, they had the fields that backed up into each other, and there was like 20 scouts over, watching Frank Pastore. And we were over here, Chaffee High School, just winning games. And I'll never forget, I came to bat, and I literally hit one that bounced into their field. It was that far. And so I got a home run. So all of a sudden, a couple of scouts come over to our field. Long story bearable, we end up winning the tournament. I got the MVP, and my baseball coach, who also pitched at USC, that was my nickname from the age of 7, Moon. That's what he called me. So 57 years, he's been calling me Moon. And he comes out. It was a night game. We won the tournament, and there's a full moon out. And he goes to announce the MVP of the game, and he looks up and he goes, "Let me just say, the moon is out tonight, and the MVP is Moon." And it's funny. I mentioned Frank Pastore because I got to know Frank really well after I got drafted here. Never knew him growing up in the same area, but once I got to Cincinnati, we became really, really good friends. And he goes, "Anthony," goes, "I should have been the MVP of that tournament." I said, "Frank, you're a Major League Baseball player. Let me have my one highlight."
That's right. That's right.
He always mentioned that. That's where the nickname came from. Was my high school, and it stuck with me through college. And there's about 3 or 4 guys here in Cincinnati that call me Moon. Only one of them's from the West Coast, so it's not the crystal thing. It's not.
Okay.
Like,
All right. Okay. All right. All right. But to follow that up for a second, because I've asked you about this before on this show, but you talk about baseball being your first love, and you actually had a chance to play baseball for a little while at USC while you were still playing on the football team. Now, I mean, it's almost impossible to picture you being a shortstop, right? I mean, there have been a lot of big guys that have come down the trail since then, the Alex Rodriguez's and the Cal Ripken Juniors, but they ain't Anthony Munoz size. They ain't Moon size. I mean, you must have been really moving back in those days.
Well, I think there's a little bit of a misperception. softball was my shortstop, or shortstop was my softball position.
Okay.
I was actually a third baseman.
Okay, well, I can see
in
that.
high school. But, Tom, and I'll tell people, you got to be self-aware. I mean, I wasn't the fleetest on foot. I could hit a long ball, but we didn't have a fence. So I had to hit a ball twice as far as you to get a home run. Because going around the bases, man, it wasn't a stopwatch. It was a calendar for me. And but put me in that little square at third base, and you couldn't bunt on me. I'd take the line away from you. It was just one of those crazy things. I played third base in high school at 275 pounds. And I sat down, and I could go laterally, upwards, back, but I wasn't that quick around the bases. And that started to happen late in high school. Then, of course, in college, you get stronger and you get faster, and that's where the speed came. But it was one of those things. As I started playing third base at the age of 7, and I just wanted to play third. I wanted to be a major leaguer. In fact, I got to meet my boyhood hero when I was 42 years old. I had a glove that had the name Brooks Robinson on it, and I was going to be a third baseman like Brooks Robinson. And at the age of 42, I met him, and I saw him in a room. We were doing the show together, and I said, "Oh my goodness, is that?" And they said, "Yep." And I went over there, and I had a chance to be around him 2 or 3 times after that at card shows. And really sad when he passed not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a third baseman, man, I tell you what, and that's what helped me as an offensive lineman. I could sit, I could move laterally, backward, and out in space. And because I played baseball, third base, I played basketball at 275. I had to guard guys that were 170, 180. So all those other sports helped me with what I did in the NFL.
That makes me think of something, Anthony, because you still work with a lot of young people, and we'll talk about your foundation and all you're doing there in a little bit. But Urban Meyer's not the first guy, but I mean, he had a very famous quote about it, and I'm paraphrasing here, talking about when he was at Florida and Ohio State, how he didn't want the guy, and football, you can't do this. So in fairness, it's not like, he had some, magic moment where it dawned on him that this happened, because you don't play football year-round, select football like you would soccer or lacrosse or basketball or baseball. But, he made the point that I think 95 or 96% of the players that he put on scholarship to play football at Florida, that they all played at least 2 sports, if not 3. It seems like, and I saw this even with my son, who was a great lacrosse player, it seems like so frequently, Anthony, so many parents, and you don't blame the parents because the kid wants to do it, and God bless him, but they're getting a kid just locked into one sport rather than playing multiple sports. What are your thoughts on that in this day and age?
Yeah, they say, well, it's tough to play 2, 3 sports. Maybe I'm old school, but I don't think it's tough. I think it's very beneficial, and I tell people, and I know I was in high school a long time ago, if they would have said, you pick this sport or that sport, I would have said, Mom, let's go find a school where I can play 3 sports, because no way am I specializing. I think it's, and to your point, Tom, John Robinson, amazing coach. I love the man. I played for him at USC. Never went to one of my football games. He watched me. He went to 3 of my basketball games. There was about 3 or 4 linemen that I played with at USC, all played basketball, all 6'6", 6'7", 240 to 270 in high school, and played basketball because he wanted to see how well you could move. Can you move your feet? Can you sit down and move? So, and I talk about, what's happening now, if you're playing 2 sports, one sport, they do camps, clinics, the same time the other sport's going on. So they say, well, you got to pick. I think, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, I think 31 of the 32 first-round picks in the NFL draft were multiple sport guys in high school. Well, people say, well, yeah, they're going to be multiple sport guys because they're unbelievable athletes. They can play. No, well, if you put the time in every sport, you can do it. I still believe it can be done, but there's so many people that don't believe that, so that's the whole mindset with parents. No, they can't do that. We have to get coaches for them at 8, 9 years old. Got to send them to this camp, that camp when they're 7, 8, 9 years old, because they're going to get a full ride to college, and they're going to be in the NBA and NFL or MLB. So that's the whole mindset now.
Yeah. Hey, I want to shift gears a little bit to the Bengals this year. You watch them. You broadcast the preseason games on television. What's your sort of overall big picture view of the team so far this year, Anthony?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people were surprised on the slow start. Maybe I don't know a whole lot, but it doesn't surprise me when teams where their players do not play any preseason game start slow. To me, week 1 and 2 are like preseason games for these guys. The team, I believe, is very talented. But, I mean, as a former offensive lineman, you need 5 guys, and they had 2 new guys. I mean, you moved Jonah to right tackle, new position. You got Brown. So you got new guys. I think you need to work together, at least some in the preseason live. Practice is one thing. Preseason games are another. Not that you have to play 2-3 quarters, but I think you need some action, some live action. Of course, Joe is hurt. So to me, now that he is healthy, or it appears that he's close to being very healthy, I think that's big now. So I think now this team has a chance to really build on the 2 wins before the break. Now they're a little healthier because they've had this week off. And I think they still have a chance to do some really good things in this league because I think they're a very talented team. People say, well, they lost Von Bell and they lost, their other
Jesse Bates,
safety, but they got some young guys. I mean, Dax Hill is a number 1 pick. It's time for him to step up. Nick Scott, was with the Rams, played big time games. So I think this team is very talented defensively. I mean, not only with talent, some depth, but they're fast. They are fast. And I think the key, again, as we've talked year after year, the key for this offense is how this offensive line plays, man. When you got some talent like they do on the perimeter, and I think Joe Mixon still has a lot of gas in the tank. And like I said, now that Joe's healthy, I think they're capable. And it's a tough schedule, but I think they're capable of doing some really good things. And but again, that slow start, as much as I didn't want to see it, I can say it didn't surprise me because of the lack of action with a lot of these guys in the preseason. So I think now, I think they continue. I think they build. And they're coming off this bye week, and they got a tough game, with the 49ers out in San Francisco. They just got beat by Minnesota, and, their defense can bring it. And you got a pretty good running back who I hate to say is from the Pac-12, but from that school up in Palo Alto. McCaffrey, a guy's amazing, great tight end. So it's a big challenge for this football team. But, again, I think the Bengals can play with and beat any team in the league right now.
All right, I want to zero in for a minute on the offensive line. We had Willie Anderson on this program a few months back. And, of course, he does a lot of work like you do with young players and helping young offensive linemen to develop their skills, all-around skills, as a human being as well.
Right. Yep.
We really enjoyed our conversation with him quite a bit a couple of months back. And he was able to reflect back on the move that Jonah Williams was going to have to make going from left tackle to right tackle. What are your thoughts about how truly difficult, because, okay, you didn't go play right tackle, but you understand and you've been around people who have. Is that a much bigger adjustment than people think?
I think so. People say, well, all you got to do is get in a right-handed stance instead of a left-handed, step with it. No. So the thing that and I can relate to it, Tom, a little bit, because in college, we didn't have right side, left side. We had strong side, weak side. So by formation, sometimes I lined up as a right tackle. Sometimes I lined up as a left tackle. So I was really prepared if I didn't play left tackle to play either side because of the training. But I say that to say that I did have a little of experience of that. But once I got in the NFL, it was just left the whole time. But it is difficult. One of the things, and of course, the intensity wasn't as big, but there was probably 6-7 Pro Bowls that I went where it was 3 left tackles that went to the Pro Bowl. Well, they're always younger guys than me, so they always say, Anthony, can you play right tackle? And I said, okay, I'll play right tackle. So, I mean, people think, well, like I said, all you got to do is get in a right-handed stance and you change your steps. No, there's a lot more to it. So the fact that Jonah has played left tackle for as long as he has, and watching him at practice and watching him how he's moved and transitioned, I've been very impressed with the young man, the way he's done that. But it isn't as easy as a lot of people think. It's a very difficult transition.
We got lots of people asking questions that watch the program regularly that are so excited you're still here. One, you've been asked this 1,000 times, but I don't know if I know the answer. I'm quite sure I don't. Toughest guy you had to block against as a pass rusher and or the run game?
Yeah. So probably, I'm going to kind of use two categories. The best all-around defensive end that I played against probably 5 or 6 times, the total package, size, speed, strength, quickness, smarts, was Bruce Smith. I mean, the guy only played 19 years in the league. Amazing. A guy that plays defensive end, but you could move him inside, cock him over the center, and he would be just as effective. So he's probably the best. The guy that was the strongest guy that ever played against, and he was 6'2", 6'3", so he had some amazing leverage. And with Bruce, it was a little different matchup. With Joe Klecko, man, it was like being in a 15-round heavyweight fight. He just gets in the Hall of Fame, which he well deserved, and he finally got in this last year. But you think about who they had in the New York Sack Exchange: Joe Klecko, Mark Gastineau, Abdul Salam, and Marty Lyons. I mean, those were 4 of the best defensive linemen as a group that I ever faced. But Joe Klecko, probably the strongest, probably the best technique for a D lineman. Man, he had those hands in tight, and he would just amazing strength. But the overall packet had to be Bruce Smith.
Okay. Not surprised by that one. You guys went toe-to-toe many, many times, including some big ones there in the run to the Super Bowl year. I was fortunate enough to be around you when you and I were partners doing Fox games and just listening to you talk about being an offensive lineman. And one of the things I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm paraphrasing here, where you talked about, look, it's natural human instinct, right, to want to be the guy who's the aggressor and hit somebody rather than backing up and letting somebody come and hit you. In other words, run blocking versus pass protection. And I'm not asking you to evaluate the play calling. I'm asking you, with this new offensive line, I'm asking you, have they truly been given a chance to prove whether they can run block or not?
First of all, let's talk about, my analogy and what I've said. So a lot of times I have kids that say, I want to play defense because I want to hit people. You're right in saying as an offensive lineman, you have to, be passive and then deliver a strike, sometimes going backwards. But one of the things that with Jim McNally, who I played my entire career for, is that we were able to attack even on the pass. And that was the thing that made it fun for me, is the strategic game planning of, hey, why drop back every time you're passing and let those guys make their moves? Why not be aggressive? Like run block them and then make them react to you on a pass. Make them think you're going to run block them and then stop and just cut the distance down. So we had all of that. So that was the fun thing for me, is being able to be aggressive when I wanted to and then not be aggressive when maybe the play called for me not to be. So that was a good arsenal to have. Had they allowed this offensive line, the thing that impresses me, and I think they have a chance, is because of their offensive line coach. I love Frank Pollock. I love what he teaches. I love his mentality. I love his toughness. But I just think it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, people are throwing the ball all the time now. I mean, it's 3rd and 1. When I was playing, I mean, it was like, if you see a pass come in, what do you think? What are you thinking about? Let's just button it up, and we're going to get that 1 yard running the football. Now it's like people are, more so than not passing the ball on 3rd down. So I think because of the way the game's played now, and even in college, are all linemen truly given the opportunity to do that? Again, I say to win a championship, you look at the teams that win; they can still get down and knock you off the ball. You can throw the ball for 4,000 or 5,000 yards, but they can knock you off. So I just think the way the offenses are being run, the whole offensive philosophy of pass. I mean, it's, we used to run the ball to set up the pass. I mean, we had probably, if not the best play action guy, one of the best play action guys in Boomer Esiason. I mean, you didn't know if he handed the ball, if he had it every time he called the play, because that's just the progression he went through. I'll never forget, we're playing the Redskins at home, and we ran it, Bruce Reimers and I double-teamed Dexter Manley, and the linebacker steps up, and Nicky Woods is behind us. and the whole pile there. And Dexter Manley grabs me and he grabs Ike and he goes, "There's no way you guys can run this way." And I said, "Dexter, we didn't. Look in the end zone." Eddie Brown, Eddie Brown's catching the play from Boomer. Great play action fake. And it's about the offensive line selling. The thing we used to talk about is when you run play action pass, the linebackers not only have to see the offensive lineman run blocking, but they have to hear it. They got to hear the collision of you coming off and selling it. And with great technique, because you don't want to one hit and let the guy go. And so that, we were trained that way. And so, like I said, we used to run the ball to set up the pass. And I tell you what, that was now it's, again, I'm not within the play, play calling or game planning. So I'm not sure the whole strategy. But I just think it's the nature of the beast. And it's like throw the ball.
Okay, a lot has been made of that. By the way, I mean, to hear that kind of thing, I've never heard that before, and I've been lucky to be around a lot of people. I've never heard that before about the linebacker not only has to see it, but to hear it. That's just fascinating to me to hear it. Okay, it leads to we're being led to believe in some circles that during this bye week. And now that Joe Burrow appears to be getting healthier and healthier, he said he's close to 100% now in his press conference a couple days ago, that we might see more under center Joe Burrow, which Boomer was under center a lot. You guys were rarely, if ever, in shotgun. Is that a big deal to all of a sudden be going to more under center?
Quite frankly, I'm a fan of both. I think teams have gotten away so much from under center, and I think it's great that's going to happen. I like that. I mean, the fact that again, there's advantages to both. I mean, you get the ball back in the shotgun, and you're already looking compared to getting the ball then dropping. But to me, I think the run game is helped out by under center. The play action is helped out, I think, from under center. So I'm excited to hear that. Yeah, they'll be getting a little more under the center because I'm a big fan of doing both. And I think so many college teams have gotten away from. I mean, even I watch my grandsons playing 7th and 8th grade. They rarely get under center. Yeah, they rarely do. 3rd and 1, you're in the shotgun. 3rd and 1, you're under center. Oh, I think it's gonna be a quarterback sneak. I mean, come on. You don't have to be a genius to understand that 3rd and 1, you're under center. You're gonna run a quarterback sneak. But so I'm a fan of both. I'm excited that Joe will be getting under center. I think it helps out for both the passing and the run game.
Well, Anthony, we can't thank you enough for your time today, my friend. You are the best, and all you're doing with your foundation. I don't want to let you go before you talk about it because it seems like to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you made some changes in your social media staff or whatever it might be. It seems like you guys are all over the place now, or maybe it's just that you continue to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and do so much for so many young people.
Well, first of all, I mean, I appreciate you talking about the foundation. We never got to your nickname, though. That kind of upsets me. We didn't get to the nickname.
Right. You can tell that at the end. We want to hear about your foundation.
Okay. So we hired it's always been, but we hired a young lady, another staff member a couple years ago, and she's been excellent in the social media area. Claire Gilmore, she is a local gal. She was a state championship swimmer at the Marymount High School.
I know that.
She was a swimmer at Ohio State. So we hired her actually during COVID. She's been amazing with social media, but the impact has also continued to grow with the foundation, Tom. Yesterday, the fact you'd asked me to be on with you yesterday, but we had a full day leadership seminar. We had 83 high schools at a full day event, over 1,000 young people, 4 amazing speakers, breakout sessions, one of our programs that we run. So, during COVID, we continued to increase the outreach. We kind of had to reinvent ourselves, with the virtual stuff. But then once now that we're back in person, we've incorporated the virtual with our in person. So the impact continues to grow with the young people in this great community. But our staff, I have 4 full-time staff, and they do an amazing job. I mean, it's everybody we work with from the golf courses to the venues. They're like, man, your staff is right on it, man. They don't miss a detail. We get every detail. The communication is unbelievable. So I'm very thankful for the staff we have here, and they do a phenomenal job. So yeah, so this young lady Claire, and of course we got Kaylee, Kristen, and Anna. Now they do a phenomenal job, and so I'm thankful for that. So yeah, things are rolling, and really exciting with the foundation.
Well, it's amazing what you've done for young people. I mean, it's just amazing, giving them a chance to better their lives in so many different ways, not just in terms of providing scholarship, but spiritually and emotionally and mentally and physically, and it's amazing work. God's work is what you're doing, and so
amen.
We all say thank you for that. I can't even remember what the nickname was. It was something ridiculous, and you would never let it go. You never let it go.
So if you remember the name Dale?
Yeah, I did. Now okay. Now I got it.
Can I share the quick story?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I for certain.
Real quick, we're Thom and I are doing a game up in Detroit, Atlanta at Detroit. So schedule is you get on Friday, you go to the walkthrough, you interview the coaches of the home team, the players. Then Saturday morning, the visiting team comes in. The Atlanta Falcons come in. We are ready at the hotel, producer, director, play-by-play analyst, to meet with the coaches. If I remember correctly, June Jones was the coach, and we're waiting in the meeting room. No Thom. Where's Thom? Billy McCoy, Roy Hamilton, Anthony, we're all there. Where's Thom? We're getting ready. The coach comes in. All of a sudden, you remember you come in, and you're a little frustrated. You're a little angry. And you sit down, and we go through our meeting. We have a great meeting, and afterwards we're like, Thom, why are you so upset? He goes, I would have been on time, but I'm going through the lobby, and these two police officers stop me, and they start questioning me. And I guess you had looked similar to someone they were looking for.
That's right.
The guy's name was Dale, and you pull out your license. I'm Thom Brennaman, not Dale. You remember that?
I do remember. You're right.
So
some dude they were looking for. That's exactly right.
And you fit the description. We go, not our Thom.
But no one was ever more. The only time, and I've shared this story infrequently, but the only time I've ever seen you mad. Now I've been on a football field in uniform with you, but the only time I ever saw you get upset, man, was your old friend, Buddy Ryan. He walked in the door. I know, God bless his soul. I understand. But, I mean, he had you so fired up, and I just thought to myself, man, that's a dude that's got to be on the football field.
You remember the whole conversation?
I do.
So a little history. So we played the Eagles and I think it was our Super Bowl year. We played them. They were loaded. We beat them in a tough game, and Buddy Ryan was the head coach. And so my question to him in the game or pregame, if you remember, I asked if was his middle linebacker kind of the quarterback for the no-huddle offense that they're going to face. He goes, we have no problem with the no-huddle offense. and he goes, plus I've taken over the defense since I said, no. So you have no problem with the no-huddle? I said, so I think we scored like 30 points with the no-huddle.
That's exactly right. That's right. He got up and walked out. He didn't like it.
You remember he had the 4 Cardinal hats that they weren't for us, but he had. So he left the room and you guys like, you just sniffed us out of a Cardinal hat. He was going to give us a hit. You got him upset.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Still
great, looking for that Cardinal lid. I have no idea. I got a Cardinal T-shirt. I don't got a Cardinal lid. It's all because
Thom,
of you.
Do you know that Buddy Ryan coached Jim McNally at the University of Buffalo? Did you know that?
I did not know that. You got to be kidding.
That's how I first met Buddy Ryan. Jim McNally, who was my coach my entire career, offensive line, played at the University of Buffalo, and Buddy Ryan was his coach. And that's when he introduced me to us. I got him a little upset. He got me a little fired up.
That's right. I know. Calm down, big fella. Right. Anthony, thanks for your time today, man. Hey. You're the best. God bless you, buddy, and Dee and the kids and grandkids. Thank you.
Always good seeing you. Please say hi to the family.
I will do it, buddy. All right, man. Take care. Be well. Anthony Munoz, the great Anthony Munoz.